All been so anxiously and definitely waiting for James Aspey.
I forget what I was going to say. Is that loud enough? Can you hear me in the back? Oh, sweet. Oh, turn it up. Can you turn it up? Can you turn it up? Yeah. No. Alright, sweet. Thanks everybody for being here. So good to see such a good looking crowd. Must be that diet you're all on. If you were here yesterday, what I did yesterday was talked about my journey going from someone who didn't care at all about animals to somebody very passionate about speaking up for the voiceless victims of this planet. So passionate that I actually stopped speaking for an entire year to do that. And I'm not really going to talk about that journey today because I did it yesterday. Put your hand up if you were here yesterday. Yeah, so I don't want to bore you again. But what I'm going to talk about today is what we can all do, how we can all contribute, the way that we contribute, which is also what is very important. It's so much about the delivery as it is about what we say. We've got to know how to say it. So I'm going to talk to you today about what I've learned over the last 4 years of advocating every single day, almost every single hour of the day, about veganism, about animal rights, about speciesism, anti-speciesism more specifically. How do we get this out there? How do we reach millions? How do we help change this world and make it a better place? But before I do that, there's always a few people in the crowd who aren't vegan because the vegans dragged them here. They're like, just come on, be my birthday present and my Christmas present. There's a few of you here, there always is. So what I thought I'd do, first of all, is just explain what even I'm going to be talking about. You know, why this is important, why there is a vegan festival, why there's so many smiling people in this crowd, and so many angry vegans behind a computer at home today. Why this is happening, what this is about. So veganism is a very simple thing. A lot of people might see it as this extreme thing, this cult. You know, they don't eat any animal product, like that's some sort of weird cult. But really all it is just the golden rule in action. Veganism is about treating others the way that you would want to be treated. And when we say others, we include other species in that. Not just dogs, not just dolphins, not just whales, but also pigs, cows, chickens, fish, and all animals. We treat them the way that we want to be treated. Why veganism is important and why vegetarian is not enough, or why buying free-range animal products or humanely slaughtered animal products is not enough, is because anything less than being vegan is contributing to needless, unnecessary, easily avoidable harm and violence and killing. And so veganism really is the first step. Veganism is step one. If you believe already, which almost everybody does, if you believe already that unnecessary harm to animals is wrong, then by your own belief, you're already a member of the cult, man. You're already in. That's all you need to agree with, that unnecessary harm to animals is wrong. If you agree with that, you have veganism in your heart. The only thing left for most people in this world to do is to align their actions with their values. That's it. And that's a very easy thing to do. You go to the supermarket, instead of getting cow's milk, you get rice, almond, soy, coconut milk. You go to a Mexican restaurant, instead of getting a burrito with mince and with sour cream and cheese, you get the black bean burrito with extra guacamole, something like that. Delicious, healthy, no animal products. And the reason why, again, vegetarian isn't enough is because all animal products come from harm or exploitation. Dairy, eggs, leather, wool, silk, places like SeaWorld or zoos that exploit animals for entertainment, everywhere in between, products that use animals for testing, just all of it. The bottom line really is that animal use is wrong. Because animals should have the right to live their life in peace, the right to their own freedom, the right not to be the property of somebody else. They live their own lives in peace, just like we want to. That's what veganism is all about. Extending our circle of compassion to embrace all nature and all living creatures. And that was an Einstein quote. That's what he said that we should do as well. That's what being vegan is all about. So for anybody here who still thinks vegan is this crazy extreme thing, maybe think about the way that most people live their life now. Because most people, every single day, will pay someone else to mutilate and torture and kill an animal just because they like the way that they taste. Not for health, not for any necessity, just for a 5-minute fleeting taste sensation. And if you think about it more, I hope you get to the point where you realize that you having a specific taste is not more valuable than another individual's right to live their entire life. So there's nothing extreme about this, it's quite the opposite. It's chill, it's peaceful, it's respectful, it's equality, and it's compassion. It's all of the good things that we're striving to be as a civilization, so that we can become better, so that we can reduce suffering in this world, reduce violence, and make this world a better place. And there's so many things in this world that we have no control over at all. You know, we can't stop wars, we can't stop different things like that. But this war on animals, and it is a war, this war that humans have waged on animals, and that otherwise very good people are contributing to every single day and funding, this war on animals is something we can stop. Because it only happens because of us. We create a demand for animal products, and the animal products come. And when you buy an animal product, let's say you buy a packet of bacon, you're not just buying this flesh in this packet. You're paying for every single thing that happened to this animal along the way. And a lot of people think animals don't matter, they're not like us, they're bred for our consumption. I would suggest thinking about it from the victim's point of view. They don't care why they were bred, they just want to live. If you were bred for the purpose of somebody else, do you think you would just concede that and say, okay, that's why I'm here? No, you would fight to have the right to your life. Every individual, every earthling should have the right to their life. So it's not about making excuses for why this is okay. It's not about trying to do it humanely and trying to find a good way to do a bad thing. It's about realizing that this happens because of us, that it doesn't have to happen at all, and that our actions truly do make a difference. We're either on one of two sides. We're on the side of peace and justice and respect and part of the fastest growing social justice movement of our time, or we're on the side of the oppressors. We're on the side of violence, of cruelty, of confinement, of torture, and of killing. Good people like us should make the choice that is on the side of peace and justice. Because if good people aren't even going to make that choice, what kind of hope do we have in this world? We need to be leaders, we need to pave the way, we need to show this other path, how amazing it is, how good it is, how positive it is, how easy it is, how everybody wins when we walk this vegan path. That is our job. But first and foremost is going vegan. You don't start, it makes no sense to be anti-live export or anti-killing dogs in Yulin for meat, or anti any type of animal cruelty. It doesn't make sense to just choose a couple of types of animal cruelty that you're not okay with and then pay for other types to happen every single day. So it's about realizing that hypocrisy that we have, that double standard that we have, and making the adjustment so that we can be a friend to animals and be the peaceful people that we strive to be. So that's why being vegan is step one. That's the least we should do. Don't see it as this extreme thing. The least we should do is stop harming animals. Step one. So for anybody who got dragged here, I hope that makes sense. Now for everybody else who came to because they wanted to be here, hello. Thanks for coming. What I want to talk to you about, and everybody, this is a message for everybody, there's something for everybody here. A lot of people go vegan, and that is great. Step one is so important. But equally as important, I believe equally as important is step 2. Helping others do the same. Help others do the same. I don't know if Earthling Ed said it in his speech, but I saw it in one of his speeches once, and I love it, and I want to share what he said once. He said, it's like this, right? There's 2 people beating a dog. Did he say it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's good, isn't it? Alright, I'm gonna say it again, because I look, don't tell Ed, but I actually made it a little bit better, but don't tell him. I changed it a little bit. This is how I see it. There's a dog, 2 people are punching the dog in the face. One person all of a sudden goes, oh my God, what am I doing? This is so cruel and totally unnecessary. I'm gonna stop punching this dog in the face now. That's going vegan. Good start. Your friend is still punching the dog in the face. A lot of vegans are like, go for it. Don't worry about it. You know, I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. It's all good. If you want to punch a dog in the face, I'm not going to have a problem with you, man. I don't want you to think I'm extreme. Just punch on. But what we should be doing is saying, in whatever way, hey, what you were doing there, punching that dog, I know I used to do that because I didn't think about it. But now I realize this is wrong. We're unnecessarily harming this individual, and we should stop because we can stop. Because we can go and do something else. We don't have to hurt this animal like this for entertainment or for health or for any reason. So we should stop. Let's stop. That's step 2. That's helping others do the same. And that's really our moral obligation. Because if you were that dog, or if you were this individual who was being harmed like this, it's not enough just to expect people to stop hurting and not do anything about it. We can't be silent in the face of violence. That's not a bad quote. Someone remind me of that later. We cannot be silent in the face of violence. We do need to speak up. We need to use our voice. We're so lucky. Some of us forget. I forget a lot. How lucky we've got. How grateful we should be. How privileged we are that we can wake up every day and know we're going to have a pretty comfortable day. We're not going to have too many serious problems. We're going to eat. We're going to sleep comfortably in our bed, in our home. We're at the top of the most privileged beings on this planet. The least we should do is help those who are at the bottom. The ones who are really being harmed and killed for unnecessary reasons. So step 2 is about spreading the vegan message. And don't think like this has got to be some sort of fight against your friends and family. It doesn't have to be this, you know, you can still go and eat with your friends and family. You can still go to Christmas dinner, even if they're eating animal products. You don't have to stop doing these things. You don't have to ostracize yourself. You don't have to hide away from the real world. In fact, I would suggest don't do that, because we need to show that vegans can be healthy and happy and normal and chill with our friends and family and in this world, so that we can normalize this and make it something that everybody feels comfortable doing. Because what would you say the vibe is in the world of vegans? Tell me, how do people view vegans?
Extreme.
Extreme? What else? Hate them. Jeez, do they? Yeah. What else? Patronizing. Weird, preachy, angry, aggressive, annoying, judgmental. Right? About that? Preachy, aggressive, angry, annoying, judgmental. That's what people think of vegans, man. Like if there was a party going on, right, full of angry, aggressive, preachy, judgmental people, I would not want to party there. I'd be like, oh, I don't know why you're like that, but that's not the place for me. If there's a party going on and everyone's happy and respectful and patient and understanding and welcoming, I'm partying right there. If I've got a choice of these two, of course we're going here. You know, we don't need to put people off. There's already this vibe that is putting people off. People think when they go vegan, you go vegan, all of a sudden you just start hating humans. You don't know why. I had all these vegan friends, all of a sudden they hate humans now. That's what people think. So I think what's really important is for us to change this, to make this mainstream, to be the kind of vegan that you wish you met before that you were vegan, and to speak to people the way that you would want to have been spoken to before you were vegan as well. There's many ways up a mountain. You don't have to change. If you're a bit of an angry vegan, you can do it that way if you want. If you're having really good success with grabbing people and slapping them across the face with a vegan message, cool, go for it. But in my experience, we get much better results with a different approach. We can get up the mountain faster if we speak to people with patience, with respect, with understanding, with love, with compassion. If we model the type of behaviour that we are asking them to show the animals. We're asking for this vegan world, so we're asking for a world with compassion and respect and equality and peace, right? Be peaceful, be nice to animals. We need to model the good behaviour that we expect of others. So that's one of the most important things I think that we can change in the vegan community is how we say it. But what we say before anything is what we need to learn. We need to learn the answers to all these questions. How many times has someone come up to you and they've asked you a question that you know there's a good answer to, and where do you get protein? And you're like, tofu. Oh cool, that sounds great. When people ask you these questions, these are the greatest opportunities for us. Don't someone ask you where to get protein and you be like, again? Do you know how many times I've been asked that today? Oh man, I'm not even going to talk to you about this. These are the opportunities we have to move people in the direction of veganism, to move people through their beliefs and through the things that they hold on to so dear, all these lies and all these myths and all these objections that they've got. The answers to these common questions are the most powerful thing that you can learn. So it's just a lot, honestly, it's a lot like sales. It's like sales. You're trying to sell something to someone, and they're going to come with all these reasons why they can't buy it. And you're there just crossing reason after reason off the list, and then at the end they're like, shit, maybe I should just buy it. Sounds pretty good. The objections are common. There's 100 of them. There's literally 100 of them. Why people don't want to go vegan. But you only need to learn about 10. Because there's about 10 of the most common questions that people have. And I view it like this. It's like a big concrete wall. And let's say there's 10 concrete walls between them and where they really should be. Where their heart really already is, but where the actions just aren't at yet. There's about 10 big walls. So let's say someone comes up to you one day and they say, where do you get protein? And you don't look at them like, come on man. You say, hey, great question. That was my first question too. Which is true, that's pretty much everybody's first question. Where do you get protein? You answer them. Protein is found abundantly in all foods. Even fruit has protein. If you're worried about getting enough protein, all you need to do is eat enough food. You make sure you get enough calories for your day. By default, you get enough protein. You've answered protein, but don't stop there. But you know what? It's not just protein that we can find in a plant-based diet. All nutrients that we need are found in a plant-based diet. In fact, the studies show that there are less nutrient deficiencies on average in a vegan diet than in a standard diet. So you should be more worried now about not getting enough nutrients than what you would be if you went vegan. And there's so many people who are breaking this protein stereotype. Already today, world record holding strongman, Patrick Bowman, I think is how you say his name. World record holding ultra marathon runner. World record holding push-up champion. World champion arm wrestler. There's all these people who are smashing the stereotype. So they asked about protein, you answered about protein. Then you could even add and say, but if you really want high protein foods, beans are high in protein, nuts and seeds are high in protein, tofu, tempeh, there's lots of high protein foods as well. The objections that you've got through there, where do you get protein? You get it from these foods. Also, you don't have to worry about protein, just make sure you get enough calories. And we can get all nutrients, so that straight away takes away, what about iron, what about this, what about that? And then what about being an athlete? You've crossed that off their list before they've even asked it. So they just wanted to know about protein. They're probably just being polite, but you're like, no, you're going to get a lesson today, my friend. Boom. What you've done, at the very least, is put a sledgehammer crack into this concrete wall. You might have even crumbled it down. Boom. They're a step closer to being vegan. Well done. That is your job as an activist. Doesn't mean that they're going to go vegan on the spot, and don't make that your job. If you make that your job, you're going to have a really tough time. Because a lot of people don't go vegan in one conversation, even though you think they should. You spend 10, 15 minutes with somebody, you tell them everything they need to know, and then they're like, yeah, cool, maybe I might go think about it. You're like, whoa, sit back down, I must have missed something here, what didn't I say? We're challenging conditioning that has been there for decades. Not even decades, but centuries, you know? Generation after generation after generation of people have thought the way that most people think. We all had these same objections. So don't expect to just shatter every single concrete wall in one conversation. Your job as an activist is to realize, to find, pinpoint, what objections do you have? Why do you think you can't do this? Okay, let's talk about that. And you win every time because there's an answer to every single objection. So if you learn them, it becomes a really fun game. Because people just start going vegan around you. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Like, yeah, I know it does. When somebody says something to you like, what about free range? This is a really good question. Because this is a legitimate thing that somebody might consider, I'm doing enough, I buy free range. That's legitimate. They actually think it's fine. You can explain to them, free range means next to nothing for animals. If we're talking about a free range bird facility, instead of having 6 chickens in a small cage, you might have 30,000 chickens in a big cage like this. And that creates all different types of stress and cruelties that happen. But at the end of the day, even the most organic, free-range, grass-fed animal will still end up at the slaughterhouse, getting their head cut off, getting their throat cut, being pushed into a gas chamber. That's what happens to these animals. So, no matter how organic or free-range they are, we're still killing them at a fraction of their life. And there is no humane way to kill someone who doesn't want to die. There's no humane slaughter. That's just a word used by industry to make us feel good about our choice to contribute to something extremely violent and cruel. So what you've done is answered, what about free range? It means next to nothing for animals. And while we're on the topic, neither does humane slaughter. There are 2 very big objections that people have, thinking that it's humane. You know, and a good way to talk about it is, imagine if we had a human. Right? I have a human, I've got my brother Jono, love Jono, loved him his whole life, let him free range every single day. And then one day, in his sleep, bang, I shoot him. Didn't feel a thing, didn't see it coming. He lived a good life. Is that humane? Humane murder? Of course not, because I robbed him of his most precious gift, his life. And doing that is a cruelty that cannot be avoided when we're talking about animal products. So we put some cracks in these concrete walls. Maybe we even crumbled a couple down. Sometimes people just need a little nudge to go vegan. I spoke to someone in Dublin the other day. We're just talking, 10 minutes later, she's like, yeah, I'm gonna do that vegan challenge you were talking about. And I was like, alright, that was easy. I had a whole bunch of other stuff I was about to say, cool. You know, some people just need a little nudge. Then the next person I spoke to, 20 minutes, man, he barely budged at all. But still, I gave him a new perspective. I gave him a new way of thinking that he hadn't considered before. This was a chef who has seen animals slaughtered and felt nothing for it. And, you know, I can relate because I used to feel the same. But the job is always the same. To figure out what are their objections and to answer them accordingly. And each time you do that, you're putting cracks in the concrete, you're moving them closer and closer and closer. When somebody says to you, what about plants? Don't plants have feelings? Don't hurt them. Just answer them. Say, listen. You know, because I don't think I ever would have said this one. I wish someone asked me this before I was vegan to know what I would have said. I don't think I would have brought this up probably. But anyway, a lot of people do. Plants are not sentient beings. They don't have a brain. They don't feel pain. You need a brain to feel pain. And we're very confident that plants do not feel pain. There's no one home, there's no individual there. Although alive, they respond to stimuli just like a doorbell responds to electricity going through it. Doesn't mean a doorbell is a sentient being. Even if plants did feel pain, we kill 6 to 12 times more plants to fatten up the animals before we also kill them. So if you are trying to reduce plant casualties, the best thing for you to do is still to just eat plants. More monsters? You monster vegans eating all the plants? And then you can answer as well, and look, often we import these plant foods from the countries with the highest prevalence of starvation and malnutrition. If we redistributed this food, instead of giving it to fatten up these animals and getting this very tiny bit of food back, we could end world hunger over and over and over again. So we've answered plant sentience, we have answered world hunger as well. And this is it, right? This is it. People start with a long list of objections. But over time, you cross them off in one way or another. You have these conversations. Maybe they think the food's disgusting. You show them the food is delicious. Maybe they don't think they can cook the recipes. You give them the banana ice cream recipe. It's one ingredient. It's bananas. And a freezer. Everyone's got a freezer. They think it's expensive. You go show them how expensive a bag of potatoes is. Like, this is $2. Look how big this bag is. You know, you just get through them. And it gets to a point where they either have no objections left, or they have so few left that still going vegan makes much more sense than continuing doing what they are doing now. And it does make more sense. It's much healthier, it's much better for the planet. Every single food that people already love, there's a vegan version of it, and we save countless lives from suffering, misery, and death. There's no argument against veganism. So this is, it's fun. I don't know a better expression, but it's like shooting fish in a barrel. Does anybody know a better expression? That's what it's like. You're always going to win because it's the right thing to do. It's the right way forward. It's the right path forward. So start by learning the answers to these objections. This is it. And then you can deliver this message in countless ways. Maybe you'll paint pictures. You're an artist, use your skill. You'll paint great pictures about, thought-provoking pictures. For example, there's a good one. It's half of the cow and half of the dog, the face. And it says, why love one and eat the other? Some people stop talking for a whole year. Don't do that. It's not fun. But you could. Some people, another thing I did, I'll tell you a few things I've done. I stopped talking for a year. I raised awareness that way. I wrote a blog every single day. And when I spoke for the first time, it was on Australian TV, and millions of people watched that. I got tattooed for 25 hours straight. The reason being that I thought it would be interesting to a different crowd, like the tattoo vibes kind of crowd. And it was kind of a bit wild as well to get tattooed for 24 hours straight. And we raised $20,000 doing that as well. It was different. It was interesting. Anyone can enjoy it. It has really nothing to do with animals, just like the vow of silence. Anyone can pay attention. And through that live stream, we talked a lot about veganism. Some people make videos. Some people make food. Some people out there are selling different vegan products or this and that. Some people organize a festival. Some people come and speak at the festival. Some people drag their friends to the festival. Do you know what I mean? Some people don't have a clue how to work the sound, but they come and try their best. So there's lots of ways you can help. So figure out, what are your strengths, what are your skills? Someone said to me yesterday, man, I've spent the last 4 years at university studying some sort of computer thing, and I regret it. I wish, I want to do what you're doing and get out there and educate people. And I said, cool, man, you've developed a skill. You've already got a skill. You don't need to go and do a speech. Figure out how you can utilize your specific skill to spread the message. Computer guys are awesome when it comes to doing, I don't even know, but they can help, man. They got skills. right? So you've already got skills. Some people use their body, you know, they're good-looking vegans. They make Instagram posts. It's just them posing, looking good, then it's like, go vegan. Like, whatever. Some people use their body because they're fit and strong and healthy, you know, and they might be like the world record holding strongman, like Patrick. Crossing off that objection that you can't be fit and strong and healthy as a vegan. You know what I'm saying? So there's countless ways. And if you can't think of one, share someone else's stuff who's already doing something. Social media is the best tool we've got. You might have 200 people on your Facebook page. That's 200 people. That's a lot of people. You know, we look at these big pages of 2 million, obviously that's even more, but 200 is still a lot of people that you can send out a thought or an image or a video every single day to. You know, and I would recommend trying to grow this number and adding every single friend from Bangladesh and wherever they're adding you from. Say yes to everybody, because the more people that are adding you as a friend, the more people that are going to see this message. And I think social media is a tool that we should all learn to utilize and be consistent in posting. But I will say this, if you just post vegan stuff every single day, don't expect your friends to keep looking at it. You got to be sneaky. You got to be a sneaky vegan. You want to post vegan stuff every day. I know, I'm with you. Just got to be sneaky. Post, look, this is what I'm doing today. I'm chilling with these people. Look where we went last night. You know, chicken getting its head cut off. Just sneak it in there. So they weren't expecting it. And then back to the regular programming. Nothing to see here. But put it out there. Show them. And look, if you're not comfortable putting something like that out there, put a thought-provoking quote. Put a delicious recipe idea. Whatever. Put something out there. That's being a vegan activist. You know, with other social justice movements, you had to get on the streets, you had to march, you had to organize and rally, you had to go to jail, you know, get arrested. Man, now you just put up a post, a recipe. There is no excuse. There is no reason why every single person here cannot be a vegan activist in one way or another, in your own little way. And don't think you're not going to make a difference. If you inspire one person, to go vegan in your life, that individual will probably live more years, probably get on less medications, probably have less suffering in their life. That alone is significant and meaningful. That's an amazing thing, a gift to be able to give someone. You got to see it like a gift. You got to realize that what you are giving people isn't this annoying thing that people think it is. You got to show them, no, this is amazing. This is going to improve and enrich your life in countless ways. That's why I'm talking about this, because it's helped me so much, and I know it's going to help you so much as well. But it's delivery. It's how you do it. Thank you. Can we get a round of applause, please? It reminds me of when I was voiceless, but I made up my own version and mine suck, and they're really good. It's delivery, man. It's how you say it. Now you've probably seen a lot of vegan activists who have been very successful in a very aggressive, or somewhat aggressive, sending out of this message. And like I said, there's many ways up a mountain. If that resonates with you, you want to do that, you go for it. Do whatever you feels right. But I want to tell you a story so that you can understand the power of spreading this message in a positive way. And it's not just better for people that we're giving this message to, it's better for us. Because if we're going to be these angry vegans, if we're going to be this army of angry vegans, we have to generate anger inside of us first. Anger is going to hurt you. It will harm you. You will burn out sooner. You won't feel like you can do as much or contribute as much. This isn't the best way forward, in my opinion. I want to tell you a story about when I really understood that love and respect to others, even if they have a different opinion than you, this is the most powerful way to approach this topic with people. When I was in Melbourne a year or two ago, I was doing a speech, and halfway through, 2 people walked in, full of anger. They walked in, they sat at the front, and they just glared at me with their arms folded. And I was like, they don't look like vegans, man. They don't look like my people. And then, you know, they didn't laugh at any of the parts that I think are funny. Not one. They didn't clap at the end. And I'm like, uh-oh. And then, when it was question time, they put up their hand. First person was the man. It was a man and woman. That's all well and good, James. What about the farmers? I was like, oh, okay. Farmer, obviously. So, this is a good question. This is a complicated question. Where do you get protein? Easy. What about the farmers? Complicated. So I answered him as best as I could at the time. And I said something like, I want the farmers to live a good, happy life as well. Just not at the expense of someone else, of these animals. There are many ways that you can change and come out of what you're doing now to have a more ethical business, a more ethical farm. Some farms are turning their places to a berry farm, dairies to berries. Some people are adding wind turbine, what are they called? Those wind turbines, wind turbines, solar panel farms, all different types of things. There's lots of options and there's lots of paths to get there. And I explained this as best I could. And this man was very angry with me. And he was being very aggressive and very condescending and insulting to me. And this is how I say it. We've got three options when we're talking to people. Option one, this man is being insulting. I'm trying to stay chill and respectful. And he brings me down. This probably happens to you all the time. You're trying to be cool. And then someone is a smartass. And your cool goes right out the window. And you come down and you be a smartass too. Right? And you both just have this fight. This is not a meaningful communication. In fact, it could do the opposite of your goal. And you could push them further away from where you want them to be. This can be damaging, so don't think that it might not even be neutral. Second option is they get defensive and angry and you stay peaceful and chill. Now they've got their defenses up, so this is a barrier between what you're saying and them receiving it. But at least you didn't go down to that level. Did something get through? Possibly, maybe not. Who knows? It's a better choice. But the third and the best choice, just like they can bring you down, you can also bring them up. And this is a lot of fun. So this man was trying very hard to bring me down. And I started going down a little bit because it was just full on. There's a whole crowd of people. It's me and this guy. And I felt the energy in the room kind of get a little more like anxious. And there were some of those vegans in the crowd who were a little, not my style. They're a little angry, aggressive, and they started kind of putting that onto this man. The whole room changed. And I realized what was happening. And initially, what we generally do is one of two things. We will either resist this feeling, oh no, I'm getting anxious, I don't want to feel like this, I wish this wasn't happening, or we avoid it completely. And maybe not in this particular situation, but sometimes we might avoid our feelings with food or with drugs or with television or call someone, whatever. And both of these things are teaching you that you can't handle it. And luckily, after doing countless hours of meditation, thankfully I remembered what I've been trying to learn through all this meditation all these years. It came to me is that the best thing for you to do is to actually go into this uncomfortable feeling, to actually feel it, to face it. And it was right here, and so I went in and I felt it, and it was like this tension in my chest, and it was anxiety, and I just let it be there. I just felt it and accepted it. And this doesn't always happen, but in this particular situation, it just vanished, which was great. And I went, oh my God, I feel like a Buddha right now. I'm super chilling all of a sudden. And then I spoke to this man, everyone's all a bit aggressive, it's going on, this man's arms folded, red facing and stamping his feet. His wife is at least as angry. And I just said, with all the love I could muster, brother, you are not my enemy. I'm not here because I hate you. I am sure you're a good person. I'm sure you're a great person. You love your family. I'm not saying that you're a bad person. What I am saying is that this that you are doing is wrong because it is unnecessary and causes harm to these innocent beings. I understand this is generation after generation, and you believe it's fine, and you're getting very aggressive today because I'm confronting this belief that you have, and no one has ever challenged it before. But I just want you to know I'm not your enemy, and thanks for being here. And then I went to the next question. which was, how do you stay so calm, man? And this is, what? Oh, hang on. And this is one of the biggest questions I get asked. And I think why is because a lot of people are frustrated and angry. And this is what I'm trying to teach. A big part of what I'm trying to put out there is that you go into it, you feel it, and you accept it. Just accept it, man. Sometimes you're going to feel like this. Now, this man, after I answered a couple more questions, he came up to me after the speech. Arms folded, still angry. What about this, James? What about that, James? And I was like, this, and answered that. And he looked at me and goes, you just got to answer for everything, don't you, mate? And I was like, yes. And that's the first time he cracked a smile, he unfolded his arms. He goes, maybe I'll call you later then, with more questions. I was like, cool, I'll be waiting by the phone, brother. And he smiled and laughed and he shook my hand. I was like, whoa. And then his wife, who was at least as angry as this guy, at least, I didn't know if I got through to her yet. She's still kind of looking at me and she goes, thank you for opening our eyes to this. And so I picked myself up off the ground and I was like, no worries. And that is the power of communicating to people with respect and compassion. Does that mean that this couple of dairy farmers walked out of there and went vegan? No. But they didn't walk out of there saying, see, vegans, they make no sense, I hate them, and they hate us, they're our enemies. They didn't walk out of there like that and go and tell their friends that story. They walked out of there and they went, damn, that vegan had a good point, and he was a really nice guy. They walked out there with a good taste in their mouth about vegans, you know, and they learned a lot, and sometimes that's the best you can do, but it all helps. It all helps to change the vibe, to make veganism more mainstream and normal and accepted. And that's a very important part of doing this. Some things that help me do that. 3 main quotes that get me, I think I've added to it. There's 5 main quotes now that help me with this. I'll start with the Martin Luther King quote. He says, love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. That is how we should be looking at this. I don't want to make more enemies. I don't want to just be right and go, see, I was right, you idiot. I don't want anything like that. I want people to go, yeah, you are right, man, thanks. And I'll be like, no worries, man. I just wanted to share what I've learned because it's such a good thing. Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. That should be our goal when speaking to people. Hate the sin, love the sinner. That's how I spoke to this man. You know, let's say to my brother, he's vegan, but let's say he wasn't. I could say, bro, I love you. You know I love you, man. There's just one thing you do, though, that I cannot be okay with. And it is this unnecessary abuse and violence you contribute to these innocent animals. You know, I love you, but I do not respect that. Some people say, you should respect me. I respect vegans. Why can't you respect me? There's no reason not to respect vegans, but there is every reason not to respect someone who contributes to unnecessary animal abuse. Some people say, you know, they would never say the same thing about a child abuser. I respect my choice to abuse children. No, man, we're not going to do that because it's wrong, because of the victims. Hate the sin, love the sinner. What else we got here? Oh, don't blame and shame, inform and explain. That's my quote. Did anyone remember that one I said earlier? I hope someone tell me if you did. That just slipped out of my mouth one day as well, and it rhymed, and I went, yes, and wrote it down. Don't blame and shame, inform and explain. You don't need to lie, you don't need to yell, you don't need to grab someone and shake them, because the truth of what is happening to animals is horrific. It is a horror show, and any half-decent person will understand that when you explain it to them. So don't blame and shame them, it's not their fault. They are a victim of the conditioning of this world, that we all were as well. Most people here were not born vegan. We've all been a product of this conditioning that has taught us to love some and kill others, and the animals are here for us to use, and all of these things. We've all been taught that, so blaming and shaming people isn't the best route. informing and explaining and educating them is. Gandhi, he said, if they curse at you, don't curse back. If they hit you, don't hit back. Even if they shoot you, do not shoot back. Just keep moving forward. And that's what I'm talking about staying up here and hoping that they'll come up here too. Don't go down to that level. We have to model the behavior we want. We have to model such good behavior. Peaceful, respectful, compassionate, loving behavior. Fundamentally, veganism is just about justice, yes, but it's really about all of these things as well, right? It's about respecting each other to the point that we even respect little tiny bees. And so we should model the behavior that we want others to show as well. And show them how it's done. Otherwise, they don't even know. If vegans can't even show this behavior that we're asking others to show, you know, how do we expect them to learn it? We need to lead the way, and we need to have a high standard of ourselves and be the best versions of us that we can be. Because we're not just representing us as individuals. We are representing the whole vegan movement, and we have every single animal that needs us. They are all on our backs. You know, we've got to carry them, and we've got to be the best as we can be. Think about it. You might see yourself as just a normal person, and we are normal people, but you are also a warrior for the animals in a war against them. You are fighting against them, and there's nobody else who will fight like a vegan will. Because if you're not vegan, you don't fully get it. You think dogs are important and elephants are important. You don't fully understand that all animals matter. All their lives matter. So realize that you are an integral part in bringing the exploitation of animals, this widespread killing. You are a part of bringing it to an end. You're a warrior for the animals, a vegan warrior. Now, what's this last quote that I always forget? Oh, God. I don't know. I can't remember. And blame and shame, inform and explain. Hate this and love this and... Oh, yeah. Yes. Okay. Forgive them for they know not what they do. A lot of people they'll tell you they get it. They get everything you've said and they're not going to change. I don't believe that. If they really got it, they would change. We've got to forgive them because they really don't understand what they're arguing in favour of when they argue against veganism. Don't take it personally. Don't think they're bad people. They're just good people that are being taught to do a very bad thing. Okay, so forgive them for they don't know what to do. These are the type of things that help me. When I speak to people, I'm full of patience. I let them talk. I let them tell me what they're thinking. I let them tell me these objections they've got. And then I answer them. And for you, find the objections that people have. This is our job. This is our goal. And we can really save an incredible amount of lives. You might inspire one person that inspires somebody who inspires 50 million people. One guy said to me, eating animals is bad karma. Now, one of my speeches has over 12 million views. Millions of people have been reached. That's just one of the videos. I'm just one person. And then all the people inspired by that, who they've then inspired. The ripple effect is a very real thing. So even if you help one person, you know, you never know what these conversations will lead to. You never know. But they're so important that you have them. Because no one else can fight for the animals. The animals can't stand up for themselves. They can't speak up for themselves. So it's up to us to do that. One person does make a difference. Together, all of us making a difference, and not just being vegan, but being activists in whatever way that you see fit and using your specific skills to get this message out there. I truly believe in a vegan world. I truly believe that we can get there, and it will take time, but it will happen a lot faster if each and every one of you is doing your part to make it happen. Thank you very much. Thanks to the interpreters. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Thank you both so much. You did a great job. I appreciate it. Thank you. I hope some people in here were able to appreciate what you're doing. yeah, please. time? Who's the boss around here? You got time for questions? Yeah? What's the time? Alright, cool. We got time. So, does anybody have any questions? Anything at all? Okay, yes.
Just wondering how you answer people say if you don't kill the animals, they'll just be left wandering everywhere.
Yeah, cool. I'll repeat it, that's all good. It's all good. Thank you. If we don't eat the animals, won't they just wander around and take over the world? Maybe. There's chickens everywhere. That would be epic. The reason why there are so many animals here today, where is that person? Is because...
Not for me, it's for people who ask.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'm vegan.
Sure you are. No, I'm kidding. The reason why there are so many animals here today is because of our demand for animal products. We breed them into existence. We force them to be here. Many more than would be natural. As the demand for animal products decreases, so too does the amount of animals bred into existence. So we'll never have this hypothetical, what happens if the world goes vegan on Tuesday? That would be cool, but it's not going to happen. It's going to be a very gradual thing. Over time, there'll just be less and less animals, and we'll never have to worry about it. So yeah. Any other questions? Yes? Oh, hang on. You can go next, brother.
What do you say to somebody who answers by saying, but it's always been done this way?
Yeah, cool. It's always been done this way. So what, man? There is a lot of things that have been happening for a long, long time that are wrong and should not happen. War, child abuse, inequality. You know, there was slavery that was happening for a long, long time. Does that mean we should, it's been happening a long time, just keep it going? Nah. When we know better, we do better. When we realize that our belief of human superiority, or even, men being superior to women, when more of us understood, hey, actually, this is completely baseless to believe that we're superior to them just because we're men and they're women. We should change. We should make better laws. We should change the societal beliefs that are happening today. Similar to when racism was, it still exists, but not so long ago, white people owned black people just because of the different color of their skin. And in time, it was more commonly realized, what are we doing? This is, the color of someone's skin does not determine their value. This is completely ridiculous and baseless. We need to change and do better. War is killing so many people. Numbers that I don't even... Actually, there's a really good quote. I don't know if anyone knows it, but I'm going to just give you a rough numbers here. Don't quote me on this. Turn the cameras off. It's something like, in 2 weeks, there are more animals killed than all of the wars that have ever happened in humanity. Quite amazing. But still, it's something that's been happening a very long time. Just because it's happened a long time doesn't mean it should continue happening. There are victims of violence at the other end of our knives and forks, and it doesn't have to be that way. So, to anyone who uses, it's been happening a long time, I would just say, so has a lot of things that were also unjust, and when we learn better, we can do better, and we should all hold ourselves to a higher standard and continually try to improve as a society. Otherwise, we would still be back in the day where humans could legally own other humans and women had no rights, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, good question, thank you. Yes?
I know you were recently in Israel, and you went to the biggest animal rights march in the world.
Yeah.
So did you notice anything there, or do you have any opinion on why vegan is so popular in Israel?
Good question. I was just in Israel. There was the largest ever animal rights march. We had about 25,000 people there. Why is veganism so popular in Israel? A couple of really cool things have happened in Israel to make because Israel has the highest population of vegans out of anywhere in the world. One is Gary Yourofsky, who is a vegan activist and a lecturer. He's retired now. He went over there, and he's kind of a controversial guy. So he stirred up some controversy. And he got on the news a lot, and he had a lot of very interesting interviews and did many, many speeches. And because of the controversy surrounding him, a lot of people attended his speeches. And one of his speeches had gone viral at the time. And because of his name being in the headlines all the time, it was the most watched speech in Israel ever at the time, I believe. So a lot of people went vegan because of that. But then there's another activist, Tal Gilboa, who once the Big Brother, you know that show Big Brother? There's all these people in a house, there's all these weirdos at home and TV watching them. No offense, but you know. She won. She's a vegan activist. She's a hardcore vegan activist. She won the Big Brother, and from what I heard, probably 500,000 people went vegan because of her, because so many people watched her. Very good activism, very smart. She infiltrated the mainstream, she got the vegan message on TV, and she won. People loved it. Because it makes sense, it's a good message. So they're probably the two biggest reasons why veganism is such a strong force in Israel. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes. Oh, I was going to, just one sec, you're next. Yeah?
What's the most unusual objection you've heard to veganism?
Most unusual objection I've heard. Oh, man. I mean, I heard a lot, man. I don't know, just... The thing that's a really obvious trend is that people think when you go vegan, you're pretty much going to eat lettuce leaves and sticks and berries, you know? So I think when... It's probably one of the most common, ridiculous ones, because if you, like, you should have seen this burger I had earlier. It was like this deep fried, looked like, and tasted like chicken. It was this big burger, like, people would have loved it no matter who you were. And I just think when they imagine, oh, you go vegan, you just eat, like, raw carrots and lettuce all the time, I think, oh, that's so sad, man, because the food's actually better. Most vegans, they go vegan and then they become foodies because the food's like ridiculously good. But I've heard all kinds, man. I mean, you know, lions kill animals, so why can't we? And I don't know. I know I've heard some that would make your eyes roll in the back of your head and probably not be able to come back. But I just can't think of it right now. I usually post them though on my Instagram, so follow there for a laugh. So I'm just going to ask this first. Yeah.
What do you say to people that, like, you explain all the reasons why to go vegan, and they know how good the food is, but they still say the meat tastes so good with vegan?
Yeah. Okay, good question. You've told someone everything they need to know to go vegan and they're still not vegan. What is wrong with this person? No. There's something missing. They say they still love the taste of meat. We have foods, we have vegan foods that replicate the taste and texture of meat. So so that's their objection, okay? You think they know everything about veganism, why they should go, but their objection stands, no, but I like the taste of meat. So my activism for this person would be to show them that they love vegan food, and we have vegan meats that will mimic the exact flavors that you already enjoy, so you've got nothing to miss. You miss ice cream, that's okay, we've got vegan ice cream. You love cake, don't worry about it, we've got vegan cakes. What do you love? We got it. You know, so that's their objection, so that's what I'd work with, showing them how amazing vegan food is, because it is. And how good the vegan meats are as well. And then, that might not be it. What's your next objection? A great question to ask people is, so what is stopping you from being vegan now? So now, do you have any more reasons why you think you couldn't be vegan? I'm here for you, let's go. You know, ask them, put it on them. Why don't you want to be vegan? Or why do you think you can't be vegan? Or what's holding you back from being vegan still? And then just send them to me if you're still struggling. Yeah. Any other questions? Yep. So can you talk louder? Pet food, good question. Vegan pets, dogs, easy. Vegan dogs are very healthy dogs, just like us. We can eat either animal-based diet or a plant-based diet. And the oldest living dog on record, up to a few years ago, but I think now the record has been broken, but still, was a dog that was on a vegan diet from start to finish of that dog's life. So vegan diet for dogs, absolutely healthy, no question about it. Cats are a little bit more tricky. They need a supplement found in meat called taurine. But what I've recently learned is that the taurine that cats get in cat food is actually a supplement itself. And so what I've learned is that there are many vegan cat foods and they are supplemented with taurine. That is a healthy way to get a cat to be vegan and still love food and be healthy. but it's easier for the female cats. The male cats may have more trouble on a vegan cat food supplemented with taurine, and the way to make sure they're healthy is to test their pH levels, because there is a risk of getting urinary tract infections. And that's really easy to do as well. You can Google that and find out. So it can be done, definitely. Now let's say though that you have a cat, and just on the dog thing, there's countless vegan recipes for dogs online. Very easy, usually it's rice or oats with veggies and lentils and things like that. Easy. Let's say though that you've got a cat and you can't get a vegan cat food. What do? Do you just continue buying these animal products, which is contributing to what we've been talking about this whole time? You're in a position that is one of these rare grey areas in veganism. Most of the things, it's very obvious the right and the wrong thing to do. But you have an animal in your care, you have a moral obligation to care for that animal. You also have a moral obligation not to harm other animals. It's a tough situation. And unfortunately, that is one of the issues that we've created for ourselves because of domesticating so many animals. So it's not a perfect situation, and sometimes when you're vegan, you're going to find that you are in situations that you cannot be a perfect vegan. You're a vegan in a not yet vegan world. You do the best that you can do. That's all we can ask. Sometimes we ride on a road and it has animal products in it. Does it mean that when you go vegan you don't go on roads anymore? No man, you still use the road, but as soon as they make a vegan road next door, you ride on the vegan road. But until then, you do the best that you can do. And if you have a cat in your care, I highly doubt any vegan is going to let their cat starve to death. So unfortunately, you're probably going to have to buy animal products for your cat. I'd say if you can get that meat without paying for it, that would be a great start. I don't know if you can find a way to do that. If not, you do the best you can do. It's not a good situation. And if you are going to have, if you have room in your house for an animal companion, so that you can give an animal refuge, one from the pound or somewhere like that, obviously not buying from a breeder, I'd recommend giving that space to a herbivorous animal, so that you do not have to deal with this problem. And that might sound mean to cats, but a life is a life. It doesn't matter if it's a cat or a dog or what. So, if you can save a life, just save one that isn't going to harm others. That would make more sense to me. It's not a perfect situation, and that's going to happen sometimes. Yes?
I'd love to get your thoughts on the kind of craziest vegan argument I've heard, which is that vegans will end the world because if we stop farming animals, loads of animals will go extinct, and then
okay, for those that didn't hear, if the world goes vegan, it will end the world. What? Because loads of animals will go extinct. The leading cause of species extinction is animal agriculture. So already that fact proves that that's wrong. If the world went vegan, countless things would thrive. Leading cause of deforestation, habitat loss, ocean dead zones, greenhouse gas emissions, all of these things is animal agriculture. We're destroying the planet because of the way that we farm animals. Not to mention killing trillions of animals every single year, taking all the fish out of the ocean and killing them. There's countless reasons why if the world went vegan, we would all thrive. And not just the other animals and the environment, but also the human species. We'd be contributing to less violence. There'd be less violence that we're putting inside of our body. We'd be putting less harmful things in our body like cholesterol, living healthier lives. Healthcare would come down. We'd live longer, less medications. There's numerous reasons. So, no. Actually, animal agriculture is completely unsustainable, and sooner or later we are going to have a vegan world. The difference is only whether we choose it or whether we're forced into it. And I hope it's a choice, because then we will have done less damage and saved more lives. So that's why we're all trying to do our thing. Yes?
What do you say to people who say that you can't raise kids?
Yeah. Oh, I've got the coolest thing. So what about, people say that you can't raise kids as a vegan. It's much healthier for everybody, children included, to be vegan, and that's just not a statement I'm saying. All of the major, for example, the American Dietetic Association and similar, all around the world, I have a list of boom, 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 statement after statement after statement. from the most credible health associations on the planet, and they all are in agreement. There's no one that disagrees with the major health organizations. They all say a vegan diet is not only adequate, but likely a healthier option for everyone, not just the normal people, but the elderly, breastfeeding mothers, children, athletes, everybody in between. So the facts just do not agree with what those people are saying, and there are countless examples of vegan children who are thriving, who've been vegan since birth, who you can point them in the direction of. There's a lot of children out there who are eating animal products who also have asthma, who have obesity, who have all these different types of issues that are strongly associated with consuming animal products. In fact, a very respected doctor, I think it was Dr. John McDougall, I could be wrong, it could be some other legend, but one of these guys, he said something like, this is exactly how he said it, but something like this: if you could, how am I going to word this in my own way? If you could measure the amount of damage done to children from them eating animals and put that in the action of hitting a child with a stick, you would go to jail for a very long time. That was alright, right? Don't tell John. Something like that, yeah. So it's a very harmful thing to feed children, or anybody, but especially children, any animal products. It doesn't belong in the human body. Our physiology is 100% not omnivorous. It's not designed to chew flesh, to digest it, to eat it at all. That's why we have to cook it, we have to season it, and that's why it makes us sick. Yes? Yeah, okay, I gotcha. I'll use a different example because I know this one better. Have you heard about how, because of the increased demand for quinoa in the Western world, it has damaged specific cultures, specific places in the world that relied more on eating quinoa, and now they can't even eat it for themselves? These kind of problems are going to arise, and if you learn about them and there's something you can do about it and move your purchase power, sure, do it, that's a great thing. But at the end of the day, you know, there's no way to live completely harm-free, and again, it's just about doing the best you can with the information you've got. Yeah, right up the back there, you're going to have to yell. Horse riding, cool. Okay, if you watch, the best video I've seen on horse riding is by Bite Size Vegan. You just type Bite Size Vegan horse riding into YouTube, and she explains that horses' backs are damaged when you ride on them, and at the end of the day, these horses aren't transportation devices or entertainment tools for us to benefit from. Some horses may get to the point with you that they enjoy being ridden. I don't know, I can't say for sure, and that's the point. You can't say for sure. A lot of these horses would never allow you to ride them, but what happens is they break the horses, they break their spirit to the point where then finally they basically become a slave to the human. They do whatever their master says. So that's wrong from the start. Now let's say they do that horsemanship where it's not quite like that, it's more a mutual thing. I would still say that you can't ask these horses whether it's okay to ride them, and I would just err on the side of caution, just like I do with not eating oysters. I don't know if they're sentient beings. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. It's a little bit iffy. I just won't eat them. I don't know if it hurts. I mean, I'm pretty sure it hurts horses to ride them, and I don't know if they actually want me to, you know, or if they're just doing it because they feel they have to. I'm just going to err on the side of caution because there's no necessity in me riding them. And I think as well it promotes a confusing message. If you're saying that you're a vegan and then your profile picture is of you on a horse, people get confused about what vegan is. And I think it's really important to have as clear message as possible as a vegan, because I think that's the least that animals deserve. And if all that means is that you're not going to ride horses as much and you have to sacrifice something that you enjoy a little bit, but in order to have a very clear vegan message that can reach people and help them understand, oh yeah, no horse riding, no this, no that, then I think that's very worthwhile to do. So that would be my opinion. Yeah, thanks. Good question. Yes? Yeah.
What would you say to people who say that like being vegan is like a privileged thing and it's not an option for everyone?
Good question. Can I just make a point first? See how many objections people have? See how this happens, and when you have an answer, you can just cross it off their list and move to the next one, move to the next one. It's amazing, isn't it, how many there actually are. Being vegan is a privileged thing. Most societies that are the least privileged in the human species are on a vegan diet by default, because the cheapest foods are beans and rice and potatoes and these kinds of things. Now there are some places where you can't be a vegan. You know, you might be in a food desert. You might be in a place where you just cannot be a vegan for whatever reason. You do the best you can do. You know, some people, okay, I'll concede that. They may not be able to be vegan for whatever reason. If I was there, maybe I could make it work. But maybe they've never been vegan before and they really can't. You know, okay. But for anybody who can be vegan, they should. And for those who can't, let's try to work to make their environment a more vegan-friendly place. But first, let's start with all the people who can go vegan easy overnight with no excuses why not. Yes?
What would you say to this new lab design meat that we're
Okay, lab meats. Yeah. As if just normal meat isn't gross enough. Now they want to make it in the lab. I don't know, tell me if you disagree, but I wouldn't have eaten this before. I wouldn't have wanted to eat it. So I'm like, oh look, you can have this meat from an animal, which is what you're used to, you've been eating this your whole life. Or we've got this new thing that was made in a lab, here you go. I'm like, yuck, just Franken meat, no thanks, man. I wouldn't want that. Now, if some people think that they're going to eat it, okay, cool. I mean, it would be perfect for cats who can't get a vegan supplemented food. But personally, I can't see it taken off. But let's say it does take off. Do I have a problem with it? If it hurts no animals? No, I'm all for it. Go for it. Eat as much of this weird meat as you want. I really couldn't care less. Go for it. If no animals are being exploited or harmed, I've got no problem with it. But we already have vegan meat. We have delicious vegan meat. We don't even know the difference. We've got vegan prawns, we've got vegan chicken, vegan sausages, vegan everything. So if people aren't just going to eat that's made from plants, it's far more, you know, a palatable idea in the mind. I can't understand why they wouldn't eat these vegan meats made from plants, but they would be happy to eat a meat made in a lab. I don't know. But if it harms no animals, couldn't care less. Go for it. Yes. The horses.
Yes, my father was a jockey, and he told me to ask the animal to ride and then continue.
Yeah, well, I've never heard a horse answer. It's a bit iffy. It's a bit iffy, you know what I'm saying? It's a little iffy because you don't hear a clear message. You connect, it's a little iffy. You know, I go on a little bit more solid evidence than I felt that the horse was feeling it. You know what I mean? And that again is erring on the side of caution. Maybe you do have a connection with the horse. Maybe you do feel like you can connect with your horse. But there's still that chance that you don't and you can't, and it's just in your head, or it's not clear enough, or you're misunderstanding the signs. And I still think the right thing to do would be to err on the side of caution and not jump on that animal's back. Yeah. Yes?
I went to agriculture school that is dominated by farmers, dairy farmers, and meat farmers. And I'm the only vegan out of 900 students and 100 faculty. And
Whoa.
the students make fun of me, the teachers make fun of me, and I'm like, well, I don't know how to.
Okay. This brave young woman is the only vegan at an agricultural school with 900 people. Oh man, you're amongst your people now. How do you deal with it? Look, you're in a tough position, but a great position. Be a shining example, you know? Maybe you don't need to say anything. Just like when you're at a dinner and you're the only vegan there, you don't have to say the vegan message. You being there is making people think. You know, you being alive is going, whoa, vegans can live, this is amazing. So, you know, do what you're comfortable with doing. Just realize though that even just you being there is important and significant. And every now and then, I'm sure this is going to come up. It's going to come up that you're the vegan, you know, and that's great. Because if you have the answer to these questions, you don't need to feel threatened. You don't need to be worried. Because if you have the answer to the questions, you've got the truth on your side. You know, and you've got justice and respect on your side. And that's far more than anyone who is abusing and killing animals for money has. So I would say strengthen your argument as much as possible. A good place to do this is if you type animal rights FAQ into Google, it's the first thing that comes up. It's a great list of the answers to all the objections that we've been talking about. Bite Size Vegan has some great stuff as well. And the stronger your argument, you might start, you know, soon there might be 2 vegans at that place, and then 100 hopefully. But I'll just say that, you know, you can do a lot of good there, and you're like in the lion's den, but you know, that's one of the most important places to be. So good for you, well done. Any other, yeah. Was this a palm oil question?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I couldn't. Well, it is technically vegan because it's not an animal product. So by definition, palm oil is a. Now tell me if I'm wrong because I haven't looked into this very much. But I'm of the. I think is palm oil such a big issue to people, everyone, not just vegans, because it's orangutans? Are there definitely more animals being killed by palm oil than by other oils? Or is it just because of the species of animal and because people love orangutans? Tell me, does anybody? Yeah, well, palm oil, I mean, obviously it is harmful. But my question, look, there's no food that is 100% harm-free. And so my question is that I don't know 100%, but, you know, is palm oil especially destructive and kills far more animals? Or is it just that it's the type of animals and people have, at least like if it was dogs, there'd be a huge thing about it, like there is with the Yule and Dog Meat Festival. Is it just because of humans' typical speciesism? But you know, so come and enlighten us all, please.
What's up, folks? Thank you very much. So, as mentioned before, there's a YouTube channel called Bite Size Vegan who has done a ton of research on this, and she has a 10-minute video, and it's excellent and much more eloquent than I'll ever be. But the short deal is that if you subscribe to the definition of vegan as preventing animal harm so far as practicable, palm oil you would be compelled to avoid palm oil because as a consequence of the contemporary capitalist landscape, the production of palm oil puts a lot of pressure on the environment. A lot of forestry is cut down, and then the forestry is burnt down, and there's lots of orangutans. There's just basically a whole Google bite-sized vegan palm oil. But basically, yeah, that idea. If you're really into veganism and you subscribe to the idea, try to avoid it.
Thanks, bro. Thank you. Which brings me to a good point. You don't always know all the answers. You know, even the person on stage might not know all the answers. Don't feel overwhelmed. You don't necessarily have to know every single answer. The more you know, the better. But you don't need to know them all. You don't need to know a lot to help people go vegan. You don't need to know every single answer to every single objection in order to do a good job. And it can be as easy as just saying, I don't know actually, that's a good question. I'll Google it, I'll ask my friend, and I'll get back to you. So don't feel, oh, I don't know as much as this person, how am I ever going to do it? You know, you'd be probably surprised how much you do know compared to most people who aren't vegan. And it's okay, we're all learning and continuing to grow. And that was a good answer, thanks. You know, we should be trying to cause the least amount of harm as practically possible. I think by definition I would still say that because it's not an animal product, I mean if we go into that territory, we could be making a lot of things vegan that don't really fit the definition. But I think that as an ethical person, if you're trying to be an ethical person, it seems like palm oil would be a great thing to also avoid. Yeah. Any other? I'll go all day, man. I'll stay here all night.
What would you say to people who wear sheep's wool but saying because sheep has to be sheared anyway?
Yeah, what about people who wear sheep's wool but sheep have to be sheared anyway? The only reason why sheep have to be sheared like they do is because we have selectively bred them to grow far more wool than would be in nature. So we've created this problem for them. And we will perpetuate this problem by continuing to purchase wool. Because, okay, people want wool, let's continuously breed more of these animals into existence, and then when they start producing less wool, we'll kill them. So buying wool still contributes to the killing, the murder, the slaughter of these animals, and it perpetuates this problem of breeding animals into existence, all the cruelties that follow, and this idea that animals and their skin or their wool are things for us to use, and that really is the core issue. They're not here for us to use. So it's just another form of animal cruelty. And wool, you know, we don't need wool. Wear something else. It's just as unnecessary as eating meat. It's just as unnecessary as watching a bullfight. Yes?
How do you explain honey?
Honey, good question. Yeah, good question. Honey is food made for bees. They make it for themselves. Just because they're little animals, they still matter. When we take their honey, we are stealing from them. We're stealing their food. We have alternatives. We have agave nectar, we have coconut syrup, we have rice syrup, we have lots of different things, maple syrup. So we don't need it even if it wasn't just for the taste. But when we harvest honey, because there's such small animals, there's lots of animals injured and killed because of that, because we're working with such small animals. Often they clip the wings of the queen so that the queen doesn't fly to another hive. And again, it's just this fundamental, the core of it is that honey and bees aren't things for us to use and exploit and take from. They make their honey for them. That's their honey. Let's not steal it, let's just respect that that's theirs. No worries. Oh yeah, I'll have a couple more. Yeah. Good question. I think I heard you, but tell me if I got it wrong. What are we going to do in this world? So many poor people rely on farming animals. Is that what you said? We start with the people who don't rely on it, and then as this movement grows, we can start helping those people who do rely on it, help their communities to be vegan as well. You know, like there's so much work to be done in our own community. We're still such a small percentage. Vegans are still such a small percentage. There's people who just need a little nudge, and there's people who have every reason why they could be vegan and no reason not to. To me, it just makes sense to start there, and we'll just chip away at it to the point where, okay, now let's work on the people who really can't be vegan. How do we help them go vegan? That makes sense to me. It's not a perfect world, we're a long way away, but the job is still the same, and we might not see it in our life, but we lay the foundation for the next generation. For the next generation, the more work we do now means the less work that they have to do. Yeah, and the faster it will happen, so the more lives will save. Yes?
Do you have many moments of weakness, say, for example, you're at a friend's house, you're not sure if the wine is vegan or not, and you just say, I'm not sure, I'm just going to go for this time, but maybe another time you'd be stronger and you'd say, no, I'm not going to help.
Sorry, brother? I thought I was going to get you, but I didn't.
Yeah. Just interested in the grey areas where you're not sure how vegan something is or if it isn't.
Oh, okay, cool.
I just use wine as an example because...
Yeah, I'll ask. Okay, the question is, you're at a friend's house, they give you a glass of wine, you're not sure, is that a vegan wine, you're not too sure. Personally, if I'm going to go to a friend's house, just using that example, I mean, my friends know I'm vegan, and I'll make it pretty, I'll say, listen, just, you know, if we're going to have wine, I'll bring the wine. I don't drink, but this is just, let's play with it. I'll bring the wine, or here's a list of wines that I can get. Are there any of them you like? You know, which one can we have together? What are you making? You know, I just want to make sure that I can eat your meal tonight. I don't want to have to throw it down the toilet, something like that. So I'll just muck around with it, man, you know, and just, yeah, it's easy. But let's say you're somewhere, the food comes with bread. You know, you eat a meal out, the food comes with bread. I'll make the small effort, me personally, in a chill way, man. Like, excuse me, is this vegan? I said I'm vegan. I was like, hey man, do you know if this bread has any milk or eggs in it? I don't eat those foods. You know, I don't have to say, actually, I'm vegan, bro, and you know, like, you know, you can just say, does this have eggs or milk? It's a common question. People have allergies. You know, on the plane, I'll ask him, is this vegan? It doesn't look very vegan. Yeah, I keep asking vegan meals, and it comes with yogurt, and I'm like, hang on a second. This yogurt looks like it's cow milk yogurt. This says vegan meal. This is confusing. But I'll make the effort, brother. And you know, it can plant a seed with them. I just try to do it in a way, because I know people are like, I don't want to be annoying, I don't want to look like that guy. I just do it as chill as possible, man. And just say, look, no offense to you, let's say there is something in the food and you can't eat it. I'll just say, mate, I appreciate so much the effort that you went for to make this for me so that I could share this with you. And I know that you tried to make it vegan. And you put this in there, and maybe I wasn't clear enough, or maybe you forgot or whatever, but this is something that I can't eat, man. I cannot eat this. I won't enjoy this. I just can't put that into my body. I'm so sorry that you went to this trouble, but you know, I don't mind at all. I'll eat something else, or I just won't eat, and I'll chill while you eat. And next time I'll be a little bit more careful with you. Once again, I'm so sorry. I don't want to seem annoying, but you know how important this is to me, and I'm vegan for the animals, and I just feel like if I put that into my body, I'm consuming a product of violence towards animals that I'm not okay with. I hope you understand. You know, just chill. And it might be a little bit awkward, but you know what, man? It's all good. So that would be my way. That would be what I would say. I try to stay true as possible. Yes?
What about if the food gets wasted?
Okay, what if the food's going to be wasted? Before I was vegan, you know, I was like vegan for a couple of weeks and then not vegan for a couple of meals. Food would be getting thrown away, and I'd say, oh, who cares? You know, it's going to get thrown away anyway, I might as well eat it. I won't do that now. I don't want to condone consuming animal products. I don't want anyone to think that I'm okay with it. I don't want anyone to think that I see dead pieces of animal or their secretions as food. I don't, for many reasons. And I would much rather let that food go out. Some people say, but the animal's life, the animal died for that food. The animal's life was wasted the moment the animal was killed. The animal's not going to care, oh, please eat me, you might as well eat me. No, man, they're not going to see it like that. I think it's more important to stay true to you and not put that product of violence and killing into your body. I think that will affect us as well. And if you do eat foods like that, you can't say you're vegan. And I think to throw away being able to say you're vegan just so that you could have saved a little bit of food that, you know, who cares? I would never throw that label away. Some people say I don't like labels. Vegan is such an important label. When you tell someone you're vegan, it changes how they view vegans. You're alive, you're healthy, you're a normal person. It's so important to use this label. I would never throw that away just so I could have a few scraps of food that were about to be thrown out. Yeah. Yes?
What about animal testing for medical reasons?
What about animal testing for medical reasons? Yeah. Good question. This is the only topic that is, you know, has an interesting conversation about it. What if we test on animals in order to save humans? Again, it's just coming from a species' core. We're saying that every other species is less important than humans. Personally, I think it's wrong. I don't think we should be testing on animals to save humans when they probably would have been saved in the first place if they just stopped eating animals in the first place. I don't think it's justified. I think it's wrong. I think if you put yourself in the animal's position, you would agree. We wouldn't do it to humans, so why is it okay to do it to other species who feel pain and suffer and want to live and don't want to die just as much as we? So I think it's definitely wrong, and there are many different ways that we can do medical testing now that don't involve animal victims, and I would like to see a much greater push in that direction. In saying that, today all medication is tested on animals. Does that mean you don't take the medication? Like I said earlier, you be the best vegan you can be in a not yet vegan world. The day that the vegan medication comes out, you use that. Until then, unfortunately, you do the best you can do in this not yet vegan world. Yeah. Yes.
What's your opinion on GMO products?
GMO. I don't have a very strong opinion. Thanks. I don't have a very strong opinion on GMO because I haven't looked into it too much. I've read a couple of things, but I think, yeah. Look, honestly, if I said my opinion, it's quite uneducated. So I don't really know. I think I don't even really want to go there, man, because I honestly don't know that much about it. What do you think? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if they do enough testing and they realise that it's safe, sure, why not? But if it's at the detriment of human health or the environment and things like that, I don't know, you have to weigh it up. But I think as well there can be potential there to feed a lot more hungry mouths, but there's that potential there if the world went vegan as well. So we could probably avoid the necessity of GMO and things like that if everyone just stopped eating animals. Yeah. Yeah? Oh, go for it, yeah. Yeah, come in. We've got a GMO expert in the house.
I'm not an expert, but what I understand is that most of the world's arable land is used to produce grain, genetically modified plant foods that are fed to factory farmed animals. So if we didn't have 70 billion land animals that all needed to be fed so that humans could eat that many land animals every year, trillions of fish, well, they're not being, well, maybe factory farmed fish are, but basically most of the world's GMO crops are being driven, the manufacture of that and the production of it's driven by our demand for meat, because it's all being fed to factory farmed animals. So if we massively reduced our consumption of animal products and meat, we wouldn't need to produce anywhere near as much grain to feed to those animals. And the whole reason that we have GMO is to increase yields. But if there weren't as many tens of billions of animals every year being killed for human consumption, there would be no need to increase yields, and all of the world's land that's being used for GM crops could be switched to normally produced, crops that are not GM. I think, I'm not sure if I said that very well, but basically it's being driven by animal agriculture.
What he said. Yeah.
I have something else to say on that as well.
Cool, go for it.
I think some GMO products are made to be resistant to pests or natural disaster, or they're meant to adapt better to dry lands and things, and those tend to be not so harmful to humans. But other GMO crops are bred to be resistant to pests, which means that they then can spray the crops with far more pesticides. So if you eat those crops, you're consuming far more pesticides than you would if you were consuming non-GMO. And did you hear that?
Yeah. Thank you, yes.
And the other thing is that a lot of, when they say they develop GMO plants to feed hungry people, a lot of the time it's something that's kind of unnecessary. Like they'll breed rice to have more vitamin A to feed populations that are low in vitamin A, but actually they feed something else that has vitamin A. So they're presenting themselves as like the good guys who are giving the world, but a lot of the time it's just kind of playing with facts, and it's something that's not good enough. So it's neither good nor bad.
Cheeky buggers. Cool, thank you. How we going? All good? Thanks for sticking around. Does anybody have any other questions? Maybe do a couple more before we go? Yeah?
So what's your best advice when it comes to dealing with people who call themselves vegan, but they are not, because they consume like eggs or dairy? Yeah, so those kind of people.
Those kind of people. What about the people who say that they're vegan, but they're not vegan because they eat eggs or dairy or something like that? I'll just explain. I'll just say, listen, you're not vegan, you're a vegetarian or lacto-ovo-vegetarian. Vegans don't consume any animal products. Stop using our label. That's our thing, man. We're the legends around here. Yeah, I mean, some people use vegan just because it's trendy. Oh, you know, I'm vegan, I'm cool. And then when they're alone, they're not vegan at all. But you know, just try to keep it pure and just try to just.
They spread like the wrong message.
Yeah.
So you try to explain to them like you're not vegan, you're like a vegetarian, and it's
Yeah.
alright, like you're almost in the way there. But they, even though they say, hey, I have my own definition, you know, like I eat eggs, and they are like from a hen that I rescued
Yeah.
or things like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Backyard hens.
Yeah, backyard hens. Yeah, look, even if you have a hen in your backyard and you eat those eggs, it's similar to what the question I just answered about if food's going to get thrown away. You're still not vegan if you eat those eggs. You're still throwing away an extremely important label that you can use that can explain to people that another way of life is possible. Backyard eggs, food thrown away, whatever. So if people are saying that they're vegan and they're not vegan, just call them out on it and, you know, just do your best to keep it pure. But they're few and far between, I think. There's not too many of them compared to how many vegans will get on their case. There's a lot of them. Be one of them. Yeah. I'll do one more question, if anyone has one. Yeah. Great question to end on. Okay, I go to a lot of slaughterhouses and the vigils, which is when we stand out front of the slaughterhouse. We take footage of the animals as they come into the slaughterhouses. We post it on social media. How do I pick myself up after being in a place like that? I've started picking myself up before I've even left the place. In fact, as soon as I get there, I'm picking myself up. When I get there, there's animals in their last moments of life before they're about to go through the worst thing you could ever imagine. And I'm not thinking about, you know, I'm aware that what's going to happen, but I don't dwell on that. I think, look at these animals. But then I think, look at all these activists. Look at them all. Yes, they're so good. This activist is so good because of this. And look, they weren't even here last week, and this person's here every single week. You know, I focus on that. I don't think about what's going to happen when they get in there. I think what's going to happen when we share these videos on social media and how many people are going to be inspired and how many messages we're going to get, how many seeds it's going to plant. You know, that's what I think about. I don't think about how many people out there don't care or aren't vegan. I think about how many people out there do care and are vegan. I think about how fast the vegan movement is growing, how much more normal it's becoming, how much more widely accepted it's becoming, how much better the festivals and the food is getting. You know, I think about all these things. And it's not a perfect plan where you're going to walk out of the slaughterhouse like, yes, you know, that was such a good day today. It's not going to be like that. But it is, you know, it is strategy to just, what's the word I want to use? To, you know, maintain a positive mind frame. There's both happening. You're in a very dark place, but it's also really important that you remember to shine the light on the good things and not ignore them or forget that they're there. Make a point to also shine light on the very good things that are happening. This world is so cruel. I could have spent this entire time with you today talking about the cruelty, talking about the violence, talking about every single individual thing that happens to all these animals and the suffering and the killing. I could have done that. We could have done that easily. We could have done it for a week. But you know what? There's so much good to talk about and so much positive stuff to talk about. And I think that when you're faced with this nightmare reality, you know, it's like, you ever have one of those dreams where there's snakes everywhere? You ever have the snake dream? I get the snake dream. It scares me, man. Snakes everywhere, and there's nowhere to turn. I had one recently where I sprinted away from a snake, and it sprint slithered after me. They're pretty bad. And then you wake up though from whatever your nightmare is, and you go, oh, I'm so glad that was just a dream. That was scary. When you go vegan, it's like the opposite. You wake up and you go, oh my God, this world is very dark. All of a sudden, you know, you become aware of so much more bad things happening. So it's like the opposite. You wake up in a nightmare. It's very important. Self-care is mandatory. It is mandatory for every vegan and especially every vegan activist. You have to take time for yourself. You have to respect yourself. Don't feel guilty about taking time out. Don't feel guilty about doing the things you love. This is mandatory for every single one of us. Not just because you burn out if you don't, but also because you want to be that healthy, happy, shining example of what it means to be a vegan. Thank you very much.